Hello and welcome to video number 4, I believe, in which I'm going to talk about this lead, so the most important lead in the introduction, pretty much. As always, this is the simplest lead in the universe and you can make it in about 5 seconds in Hammer, which is what I intend to do now. So I'm going to add a new hammer. As always, when I try and make a lead, the first thing to do is just pitch it up an octave. This isn't exactly the law, but it's just a habit of mine. Just because I always use a saw, I turned it to a squave, for a little bit of variety. Next step is just to add some unison. After which all I did was turn up the phase, which doesn't seem to really make any difference when you only have 2 voices. But that's what I did. Turn down the pitch a bit. And that is more or less done. The only things I did after which was turn down the pluck slightly. Just so that it's not a solid sound, so it sort of changes a bit. I mean, if you played it for long enough, it would eventually be silence. But, because it's just a really, really long pluck, but that's not really a problem since all the notes it plays are really short. Finally, volume envelope. Actually, no, not finally, I don't know why I said that, but whatever, so it's sort of short like a pluck. Last, a tiny bit of vibrato. And that's it, that's the whole sound without any effects. If I look at the original here, I didn't change the vibrato speed at all. So, yeah, that's it. So I'm going to delete this, go back to the original and look at the effects, which is in number 8. As always, simple as hell, as every single sound so far has had, I think, it's just compression and then reverb. So if I turn off all the effects on the original, a little bit of compression. As before, turning down the volume all the way on the low, because this is a lead, there shouldn't be any low. Or there isn't really any low anyway, but turning it off just to make it more correct, I suppose, just so it doesn't cause any problems. Turning down the gain plenty, because it makes it way too loud. Reverb, not really much to talk about here. Although it is worth noting that the only places pretty much that I use reverb are like in either the introduction part or the sort of like quiet between sections bridgey sort of parts, like all the main big loud in your face sort of bits like this. That's not the bit I thought it was, but oh well. Have more or less no reverb anywhere, which is fairly important in glitch hop, because when you have no reverb it makes things sound a lot choppier, but I'm sure I'll get to this later in more detail. After that, there is just these 2 effects. So this is basically the sound done now. Just compression and reverb. But I used these 2, so the EQ and the other reverb, later, here, somewhere, for this. The microphone is massive and in the way, so I can't really see the majority of the screen. Where the hell is the lead? I can't even find it. There we go, there it is. No, there it is. I use it here because the second EQ is just a low pass that slowly goes up throughout this section to make it fade in. And the ambience is just a big old reverb. So I'll turn off the EQ for a second. So basically, it goes from really quiet and really reverby to really loud and not very reverby. And both of these, as far as I can tell, have their mix level at 0 for the whole track, and then suddenly turn on here. And then sort of slowly fade back to normal throughout the course of this, and then turn off again at the end. So that is absolutely 100% everything for that sound. I suppose worth noting is the fact that I used a lot of slide notes. So I didn't use any portamento or anything like that because only some of the notes really need sliding on them. Other than that though, I cannot think of anything else to talk about for this sound, so see you in whatever video I happen to make next.